what I've just read, wow, I think it's a really great time to get into the HR industry. I was recently reading The People magazine, which is a magazine sent to CIPD members throughout the year. And in a recent edition, I came across a very, very interesting article called The State of HR in 2023. Who are the people within the profession and what's their thoughts about it? Now, the demographic of these individuals were between 25 to 34, which is quite the majority, almost more than half of my audience. So I thought this article is something I need to talk about because some of the data, some of the findings were quite surprising. And also it just made me realize how vast and the different types of individuals who are actually in the HR space, which may be able to help some of you who are maybe a little bit confused about going into HR. Maybe you're in a different career at the moment and you want to transition to HR, but you're thinking,
oh, but I don't have a HR degree and I'm not sure if I can get into HR because I've worked here for so long.
But these findings, I think, were really, really helpful to kind of understand that you can get into HR no matter what you've done and no matter your education. There are spaces for everyone. So 5,000 people were surveyed, and the majority of them, about 82% of them, were from the UK and Ireland, and the rest were from around the globe. But I just want to talk about the findings and just talk about my thoughts around them. If you want to see the full article, then you've got to be a CIPD member to get access to it. But yeah, I'm just giving you a little taster of what my opinions and my thoughts are of the data I found. So first, I want to talk about education. And nearly half of individuals had a degree and the other half did not have a degree. So to me, that shows that it doesn't really matter if you've got a degree or not, you can still get into HR. I think it really depends on you as an individual with this kind of question, because for me personally, I did a master's degree in HR because I felt that I needed to in order to get into the profession. Like, I tried to get a HR graduate job after I graduated from doing my psychology degree and I just couldn't get one. And even when I started my master's degree and I was applying for the next intake for the next year, I still could not get a HR graduate job. I couldn't even get an admin job at this point. I was just trying so hard, I didn't know what to do. So what I decided to do was try and get experience, and that experience wasn't paid or anything at first. I just thought, you know what, let me try and do something which is going to get me to that next level. And doing that degree helped me to get the experience because it was the university that were saying you can do this opportunity as a volunteering placement. You can go to careers fairs and just ask employers if they've got any internships going. So that's basically what I did, and I had the advice of my career advisor. So my thought process was just, if I go to uni and study a HR degree, I'm going to have the theory, I can do work experience, and that's going to help me when I'm trying to apply for jobs. I just don't think that you need to have a degree. I don't think you should look at yourself if you don't have a degree and think, oh, I've got no degree at all, so I don't think I'm going to get into HR, because you could have done an apprenticeship or you could just have some solid experience. And I've said so many times, like, if you've been on this channel, you know transferable skills is your best friend. For me personally, when I did a master's degree and it was at level 7, so I did a level 7 CIPD qualification, that's usually what people who are HR managers and directors will do, and when they've had experience and they want to understand the theory in a bit more detail. I went from doing a master's into an intern role, and I had to do that because I didn't have a clue what you do in HR at this point. I didn't know, I just knew I was interested in it. Yes, I knew what it was about, but in terms of working in HR and doing admin and doing all that kind of stuff, I never really did that before. I only did customer service in the past, so you have to start at the start anyway. So that's why I'm thinking, having a degree is great. It's great knowledge. It's great for you to understand and adapt and evaluate things, and it will definitely help you when you go into those spaces. So when conversations are being had about different topics, whether that be organizational development or whether that be employee relations, employment law, you can pick up on things because you've studied it, but you practically need to do it. So next point that I want to focus on is spending time working outside of HR. Now, surprisingly, 88% of people surveyed said that they spent their career working outside of HR. And that's split between 40% saying most of their career they spent time working outside of HR, and then 48% said that they spent some time working outside of HR. Now, For me, this is a great finding. The amount of people that ask me,
like, Alicia, you know, I've been in this sector for how many years, and you know, I want to move into HR, but you know, could I actually move into HR because I've been doing this for so long, and you know, I've got no HR experience. Like, could I do that? Is there opportunity for me?
and I've always said to people, yes, like, and it goes back. This goes back to what I was saying about transferable skills. You know me already. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Transferable skills are your best friend. So if you're working in a different industry, it doesn't matter if you've not worked in HR. I guarantee you the majority of your skills you can adapt within a HR setting. So that's why when I saw this statistic, like, I was so happy, because I was just like, this is what I've been saying. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't work in HR. Like, so many people from that survey, out of 5,000 people surveyed, 88% spent most of their career or a lot of their career outside of HR. It's just about how you go about adapting your skills, matching it to the job description, so that you're able to make that transition and be confident when you're going to that interview to say, look, I've been here, I've done this. So let's say you've done social work, or you've worked in the healthcare sector, or you've been in customer service, or you've worked in finance for most of your career, and you want to transition to HR. It's possible to do that, because we've seen from the data actual individuals who are saying that's what they have done. 50% of these professionals said that they would recommend people work outside of HR because it will improve your prospects within a HR setting. I think that I actually really agree with that statistic. I think even for me, it'd be good if I had experience in a different sector, even to advance myself in HR. Because one thing I've realized about HR, and I think a lot more people need to realize this, HR is very important to a business, but in order for you to be important to the business, you need to understand the business. I've been saying this, and it's so important. Understanding the business is going to help you to better your HR department and the progress that you put in, which will enhance an organization. We don't directly bring any income into an organization as a HR department, but we actually assist with employees, so employee experience, or we do learning and development programs. We're trying to bring in the best talent. We're trying to retain the best talent who obviously provide to the organization. So our department is very important. And I think if you work in different like roles, like let's say you work in social work or you work in finance, in social work, you're working with individuals where you need to be supporting, you need to be in an environment where, and you need to be in a certain mindset where you're thinking about safeguarding, etc. And you know, these are certain things that you need to think about in a HR setting. But if you've had that experience in a different kind of environment, a different career, that can really help you to improve a process, maybe if you go into a HR setting. So I think it's really important to remember that if you've worked in a different sector, it's not a problem. When I saw that one, I was just like, yes, I'm so happy that this was stated, just so I could speak to you all about this and anyone who's gone for a career change. So the next point that I want to speak about is HR being a good career for the future. Now, 83% of the respondents said that they would be in HR in the next 5 years. And 82% said that HR is a good career for young people. And do you know what? I'm glad that they said that, because this channel has a lot of young individuals who are trying to get into the industry. We've got a lot of students, we've got a lot of graduates who are in this space. And I think for us as the workforce of the future, the next generation in the workplace, it's essential we go into this career with an open mind, and that's what I've done. I think HR can be something that you can make your own. So when I say that, I've said many times on this channel, there's so many different areas within HR. You can be that generalist that you're able to see all of the different areas, or you can be a specialist. You can work your way up to being specialized in an area that you are interested in, which is why I feel like HR is changing, because we're becoming more agile. The future of HR is actually looking quite bright. But if we're looking at, would you stay in HR in the next 20 years, only half of the respondents would, and the other half wouldn't. And I completely get that, because I think in this day and age, like staying in one job or in one position, sometimes that's not everything. Like even for myself, I don't think I'm going to be in HR for the rest of my life. Right now I'm very interested in it, but it doesn't mean that I have to stay in it for the rest of my life. So even though I mentioned that quite a lot of this data is quite positive feedback, there's also a few workplace frustrations that I'll mention that some of the HR professionals have had. The main frustration is lack of communication and like misalignment with HR strategies, and also lack of resources and money, and lack of buy-in from senior leadership. So the main one being communication. There's things that need to definitely be addressed within the next 5 to 10 years so that HR can become a department that is very valuable, and we're actually in alignment with businesses and also with senior leadership. I think it's important to be resilient in the HR profession. Like, it's not all roses. It's actually not. Like, if you want to do something, if you want to change something, because a lot of HR involves change, and that's something that people do not like, which is why it's a difficult profession. Even though it's a very rewarding profession and it's quite an interesting one, it can be difficult. So as I said, change management, that's a big thing. That is a big thing. Employees sometimes don't like when you want to change certain things. It's sometimes hard to actually get employees to come around with what you're trying to do. It's also with senior leadership as well. If you don't have that buy-in from senior leadership, sometimes the different changes that you want to make, it's kind of like, well, what are you doing? Like, no one's backing it. So it can make things difficult when you're trying to be that change maker, when you're trying to do things differently to the traditional ways of doing things. And I think that's me. Sometimes I feel like I'm that kind of person right now, where I challenge a lot of things these days, to be honest, at work. And I think that's a good thing, because, you know, we can't always be doing things in the same way we were doing things before. So, you know, that is sometimes a frustration. As I mentioned, resilience is important. I think I've got resilience at the moment. I've definitely got courage as well, to be brave, to be bold and say, look, we need to change this. I think we need to do this. Raising business cases around subjects that haven't been raised before, I think that's an important thing too, to show you're serious. It's a lot of work, but I think it has to be done. But to be honest, I like that. I like the challenge. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, HR is going to be completely different to what it looks like in 2023, especially as well because we're going to have so much more technology. That's another topic actually. I'm going to be doing a video on HR trends for 2023 and beyond. With the new technologies that are coming in, like AI, new things that we need to adapt to and the skills we need to adapt to, the way HR is going to be perceived in the next 10 years is going to be completely different. So finally, I just want to focus on the most rewarding aspects of HR. So there was a range of different ones here, from making experiences better for employees, making the workplace a fairer place to work, technology as well, having technology. With the technology statistic, I think only 4% of individuals said that, you know, having technology was like a great aspect of it. And you know what? I think that that should be higher. I honestly think that that should be higher, because the way we're going, we as HR need to be keeping up with the different technologies that are up and coming in the next 10 years. Because that's going to change the way that our department works. And I do think that that's going to be for the better, because when we have certain technologies that can take over specific tasks that are time consuming for us at the moment, in a way we don't even know right now is going to work. But the way AI is going, I don't know what is going to be out there that's going to help us. But I think that's a statistic that we need to, maybe right now it's so low because yes, we've got technologies to help us within certain areas of HR, but it's like, I feel like there's more to come, and maybe in the next 10 years that figure will be higher. But yeah, definitely like helping the organization to grow, make a fairer place to work, and improving the employee experience. I would say for me as well, that's definitely an aspect of HR which is rewarding for me. I like to see when I challenge certain things and I'm trying to bring in new incentives and initiatives, it's nice to see that employees actually are happy that, you know, changes are trying to be made in certain areas and aspects. And it's just nice as well when you're able to solve a problem in a query. Obviously, that's not always the case. If you would like to check out the full article in the People magazine, then please click the link below. But as I mentioned, you've got to be a CIPD member to access the article. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Like, what's your thoughts about the HR industry? What are your perceptions? What do you think our challenges? Let's start a conversation down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.